Downtown, Petco Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
And good day, everybody. Welcome to the Talking for Hours Padres Rockies pregame show for July 11th, 2022. I'm your host, Ben Fadden. It's a little weird way to start off this show because Esther Ruiz was supposed to be brought up today, according to a reporter, and that report or that tweet has been deleted. I'll bring it up for you. This was like 20 minutes ago, where a reporter, I think he covers the minor leagues, not totally sure, I think he covers the minors, and this is the tweet. His name is Aram Leighton. I've never heard of the guy, but he said Esther Ruiz is getting called up to the big leagues. He's enjoyed an absurd breakout year, hitting .333 with 13 home runs and 60 stolen bases. Should fill in nicely for Profar. And I thought that was a little weird timing. And why is he the one that's learning of this first? You know, I thought that was a little weird that it wasn't AC or it wasn't the Padres, because the Padres, before this tweet came out, they announced a roster move where they brought up Reese Kinnear and sent Dinelson Lamet back down after him pitching in one game. So if they're going to send out that tweet with the roster move, I would have thought that they would have sent out Ruiz being called up in the same tweet, but I guess not. Or I just guess that he's not getting called up because this Aram Leighton guy deleted the tweet. It was at 2:58 p.m., about a half hour later, and that tweet's not there anymore. Already had a lot of people talking, retweeting it, quote tweeting it, liking it, and he took it down. So I don't know if that was the Padres saying to take it down, or he realized that he checked with a source instead of multiple sources and he found out he was wrong. I don't know. But that's the situation. If Ruiz were to be called up, I mean, that would be huge for the Padres, right? A guy that can give some energy to the team. Obviously, he definitely has speed. I think he's one of those options where it's like, why not try him before the trade deadline? And more importantly, why not try Ruiz in center field so you can see what you got? And if you got something there, you can put Tatis at shortstop instead of him, going short and center field right now up until he returns. And Johnny asks, is Ruiz on the 40 man? He's not. So a roster move would have been made there. And Preller told me that when I spoke to him in person on Friday at Petco. I was asking him about why did he go with Rooker over Ruiz, and he was telling me about Rooker. He has the 40-man spot, and he said, we'll see how this next week goes. It has not been a week yet. So that's another kind of reason why I was a little confused about that Ruiz tweet of him being called up. Kind of out of the blue, didn't really expect that. And you would think that Kevin Acee or someone would have tweeted that Esther Ruiz has a locker at Coors Field or he's here, because Kevin Acee today, he said that Adrian Morejon is at Coors Field. He might be on the taxi squad. He's not on the roster yet, but he's at Coors Field. Nothing came out about Esther Ruiz being at Coors Field or a locker being there or anything like that. We're 2 hours till the game. You would think that we would know if Ruiz was there,
Bluetooth disconnected.
but so personally, I don't think he's there. I think that tweet just got our hopes up, kind of like the Ken Rosenthal tweet. But it definitely would be a positive thing if Ruiz were to be called up. I just don't think that is the case right now. So that's the situation we got. Rockies Padres kick off a 4-game set today. This is the pregame show, by the way, if you're just coming in here. July 11th, 2022. Padres are 49-38 after splitting that 4-game series against the San Francisco Giants. My series reaction to that and the All-Star selections, that is out on YouTube and the podcast platforms. So I encourage you to check that out. Rockies are 38-48. Game on Bally Sports San Diego, 97.3 The Fan, 5:40 is the first pitch. The Padres are 8 games back in the National League West. Probably could kiss the division goodbye, at least at this point right now. Jose Urena, I think is his name. He's starting for the Rockies. When you look at his game logs, not a whole lot there. He started with the Brewers this year, and then he went from the Brewers to the Rockies. I don't exactly know when that date was, but his only appearances in the big leagues this year were in April. And then it says he went from the Brewers to the Rockies, and then July 6th was his first game with the Rockies, and he went 6 and 2/3 innings and gave up only 1 run against the Dodgers offense. And the Dodgers offense obviously is a lot better than the Padres offense right now. So that's not great news for the Padres. But this would be Urena's first start at Coors Field so far this season. So maybe that gets to him. I don't know. The other appearances that he had with Milwaukee earlier this year were shorter appearances. His ERA was like 3.52 with them. The longest outing that he had was 3 innings of work. But then he went 6 and 2/3 against the Dodgers. So that's pretty much all that matters is what he's at right now, what his current workload is. He's a former Marlin pitcher. I don't want to say it'll be tough for the Padres, the matchup that they have to have today or who they face today. I kind of like the lineup today, if I'm being honest. Alfara, 7 at-bats off of him, hitting .429. Hosmer's hitting .556 off of him in 9 at-bats. So they do have some guys that have had a little bit of a history off of him, but that was probably when he was with Miami. And so he is a totally different pitcher probably than he was with Miami, I would think, right now. And then Shamanaya on the other side of things for our Padres. Yeah, you would think that the Rockies have the favorable pitching matchup if you're just looking at recent starts, recent appearances, and all that. Because Mania last time out against Seattle, July 4th game where he sucked, 3 1/3 innings, 4 runs, walked 4 guys, gave up that home run, absolute bomb. I think that was Julio Rodriguez who hit that to the Western Metal. Only 71 pitches. Just that was the least consistent I've seen Shamanaya in the strike zone at all this year. I mean, 33 balls, 38 strikes, just terrible, especially when part of Shamanaya's, how do I say it? Why we think Shamanaya is a good pitcher and why he's built himself up as a good pitcher is because he's consistent inside the strike zone. And he gives you those quality starts, right? That did not happen in his last time out. And so you hope that that can change now that they're in Colorado because they're going to need it. He has not faced the Rockies yet this year, which is interesting because they've played the Rockies a good amount already this year. Has not pitched at Coors Field this year. So we'll see how he does. And he's coming over from the American League where they didn't face the Rockies a whole lot. So it'll be an interesting pitching matchup. Urena trying to work back and continue pitching well off of that Dodgers start. And then Shamanaya looking to turn things around. He's had 3 straight starts with at least 3 walks. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I will say, if the walks happen to Charlie Blackmon and CJ Cron today, sign me up. Obviously, you hope that it's not with the bases loaded, but sign me up because Blackmon and Cron, those are 2 keys to the game for me today. I mean, watch how the Padres pitched to them. They destroyed them, I believe, the last series at Colorado. Cron hit like 3 home runs. Blackmon hit a couple. I'm just tired of them pitching to Cron and Blackmon. Pitches that were like right down the pipe. I know. I think was it Nick Martinez fastball right down the pipe to Blackman, who hit it to right field over the wall. It's like, can't do that. Can't do that to the Padre killers, and that's what they did. So hopefully that doesn't happen. As for the bullpen situation for today, Dinelson Lamet was sent down. Reese Kinnear called up. So Kinnear is in the bullpen, should be available today. You hope not to see him because when he pitches, he pitched good when he was with the Padres the last time he was here. I think they were facing Colorado the last time he was here. It was in San Diego, but he pitched pretty good. Saved the bullpen that one night when Gore sucked against Colorado. Um, but you don't want to see him because that means that you're probably not winning that game. It's probably out of reach. I know it's Coors Field, so it's not really out of reach, but you hope it's not like the 7-0 type situation where we saw yesterday early in the game. Taylor Scott is unavailable today, 54 pitches, but I guess that's the good news is everyone else should be available. Rogers has not pitched in a while because the Padres have not they didn't win yesterday or on Saturday. So there's no need to pitch him. He wasn't going to pitch. And then Garcia, he's had a day off. Hill's had a day off. Chris Matt has not pitched in a while. I would think Chris Matt would pitch today, regardless of what situation they're in, because he can pitch in high leverage situations. He can also pitch when it's not such a high leverage situation, So I would definitely think that they try to get Chris Matt some work today. Let's get to the lineups here. I'll get to your guys' comments and questions. Don't worry. I'm not forgetting about you. I'm just getting through my pregame part of it. So feel free. Any questions, comments, leave them in the chat. I appreciate everyone tuning in live here or on replay. I encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Daily Padres content, daily pregame shows, postgame reactions, series reactions, interviews. So stay tuned for that. All right, so the Padres lineup. I'm a big fan of this Padre lineup, to be honest. I am. Crony leading off, Manny hitting second, Mazzara hitting third, Voit hitting fourth, Hosmer hitting fifth, Alfaro hitting sixth. I'd like to have Alfaro hitting fourth over Voit, but that's being a little picky. Grisham, center field, batting seventh. You're going to put him down in the order, going to put him wherever you put him. Same with Abrams and Azokar. The bottom three in this lineup, that's not great at all. Grisham, Abrams, Azokar, not going to find power there, really. Not going to find high averages, a lot of RBIs. Just not. Look at those RBI totals, especially for the 8 and 9 guys. But the top of the lineup, that's interesting to see Crony lead off. I'm really interested to see how that works. We've been seeing him hitting second and third the majority of the season, especially with Fernando out. See how he does leading off. The Padres have been trying to find that leadoff hitter since Jerkson went on the COVID IL. And then with Nomar hitting third, I like that as well. If you've been listening to me, you know that I want Nomar Mazzara to be playing every day. And Nomar hitting third today, that makes me happy. I know it's not a lefty on the mound, so it's not like the Padres are breaking their, habit of him not starting games when a lefty's on the mound. But they're noticing that he's hitting well, and they're putting him hitting third. And so I like that. Hope he plays the entire game and doesn't get pinch hit for. Give him that chance to get those good at-bats, a lot of at-bats, consistent at-bats in the middle of that lineup and see what he does because Hosmer's not working. Alfaro, he does strike out. I know Voit strikes out a lot too, but you do need that power. I think Voit has more power potential than Mazzara, but Mazzara hits, obviously, more consistently, makes contact more consistently, a lot more line drives consistently. So I like Mazzara hitting third there. Seeing him in the top of the first inning, that'll be good. And then the rest of the lineup is what it is. But I really wanted to focus on Crony and Mazzara today, batting leadoff and then batting third. And my Padre pick today is Jake Cronenworth. Who'd I go with yesterday? Yesterday, I went with Jorge Alfaro. He went 0 for 4. For some reason, I was liking him, and I think he struck out a couple times. So I'm 50 and 30 so far in my Padre pick. The Rockies lineup. Let's see here. Rockies lineup. Connor Joe, Charlie Blackmon, CJ Cron, obviously the 2 and 3 hitters. Stay away from them. Brennan Rodgers, Jose Iglesias, Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon usually seems to played pretty well against the Padres, so stay away from him too. Randall Grichuk, Elias Diaz, Garrett Hampson. So what I notice is no Chris Bryant. I believe he's on the paternity list, so that's a big plus for the Padres that they're not gonna have to face him. And then no Jonathan Daza either. Don't know what his situation is. Says he's on the roster, so he's just a bench bat. Hopefully he doesn't come up in the 8th inning and hit a bomb off of, you know, Luis Garcia or something. But those are the lineups. 540 is the first pitch. Padres are 49 and 38. Rockies are 38 and 48. You don't want to start, or excuse me, not start. You want to not continue the losing streak at Coors Field. They've lost 11 or 10 in a row. Tonight would be their 11th straight lost at Coors Field, if that's what happens tonight. So let's hope that does not happen. All right, let's end this with some comments, some questions here. Marco says, give us your trade deadline prediction. I think it's too early to be making predictions about the trade deadline because Myers could be back and raking, and maybe you're like, okay, I'm fine with Mazzara and Myers in right field. I feel like I still would be. I don't think Myers is going to get traded, so I guess that's a prediction. I don't see Myers getting dealt. A guy that has a big contract. I know it's only 1 year, but it's still a decent-sized contract for the rest of the year, and he's underperforming, and he's already dealt with a knee injury. I think he's going to play out this year with the Padres. Um, I think AJ gets a bat because he has to. He's going to learn from his failure of a trade deadline last year where his big outfield addition was Jake Marisnick, like a minute before the trade deadline when we were expecting starting pitching. He acquires a defensive first center fielder when we already had a defensive first center fielder on the roster. And we're seeing that right now with Trent Grisham. And even now, Trent Grisham isn't doing that hot defensively, which sucks. He goes back on balls tremendously well. Not. So that's kind of the best that I'll do right now. As we get closer, I'll have more videos out on that. But we're still weeks out, and Preller's focus is on the draft right now. Let's see here. Marco says we're going to lose 3 out of 4. We've been really bad against the Rockies. I don't blame you for thinking that, but I think you just got to be I'm trying to be optimistic about this team. I know that there's like no one else that's joining the party in that. Everyone's saying, "Oh, this team sucks. Will they make the playoffs?" No. Uh, we need to trade for 1 million bats. But you got to realize, yeah, you can trade for bats, but how are you going to do it? They're like $1 million away from the luxury tax 230 number. They don't want to go over because then they lose a lot of draft picks, and AJ Preller loves scouting and drafting, so that's not going to happen. And to be honest, I don't even think Seidler wants to go over the CBT because he sees this team right now. He's like, "Are you guys worth it? Really?" So you're gonna have to clear a lot of salary. Stammen, Lamet, Myers, Hosmer, those are just some options. Kim, Nola, maybe. Those are just Pomerantz. Those are some options to clear salary, but does any team want those guys? And then do the Padres match up with anyone on that team's roster that they want? And are they willing to give up a top prospect? Like, there's a lot of different questions that go into it. So it's not just as easy as let's go out of bat. It's not free agency. The other team has to agree to it. And there's other teams like the Dodgers that are probably going to be in on those same guys. If you want to go through pitching, the Dodgers are definitely going to be in on those same guys. I'm not saying the Padres are in on Luis Castillo. From reports that I've seen, I think they have a little interest in him, but they're not like going all in on him. But the Dodgers are interested in him, according to John Paul Morosi today. So they're going to be interested in a lot of talented guys as well. And the Padres are going to have to go through the Dodgers if they want to get to the World Series this year. They're just going to. Marco says we should trade Lamet. Again, that's a question. Yeah, sure. You're going to clear salary. But look, that guy, has like a 10 ERA this year. What team's going to want him? And what are you going to get in return? Are the Yankees willing to trade Joey Gallo? I know he's been crap for them, but are they willing to trade Joey Gallo to get Dinelson Lamet, who's not really producing? You know, do they believe that Lamet's a high upside guy or just a guy that they'd stash in the minors? Like, I don't know if they do that. I think that it's a fair trade because both guys aren't doing well this year, and the receiving team could make the argument that buy low and you're going to get a big return from him. And maybe Joey Gallo just doesn't fit New York, and he'd fit better with former teammates, a bunch of Texas Rangers and AJ. Maybe that. But I don't know what the Yankees think of that. So two sides to tango. Yeah, Hurricane Des says so Ruiz isn't up. Yeah, for right now, no. That's the update. I mean, some guy tweeted that Ruiz is being called up, and then he deleted the tweet like a half hour later, or less than a half hour later. I came on a half hour later. So yeah, nope, doesn't seem like Ruiz is up, and I'm not surprised, to be honest, that this news seems like it's fake, at least for today, before today's game, because the lineup was already out. The roster moves the Padres announced were already announced today. They would have announced it along with that roster move, I would think. And Rooker's still on the roster. Azokar's in the lineup. Those are two guys you would think that they'd send down because Batten's an infielder. So it doesn't seem like he's being called up. Jonathan says he wants Josh Bell. Cool. I was discussing this with Jacob yesterday, my cousin, at the game, like an hour before the game. I'm like, everyone wants Josh Bell. I want him too. I think he's hitting over 300. Great. There's a lot of other teams that would want that as well. And are the Nationals willing to take on Eric Hosmer? Because Josh Bell, I think it would be like $5 million or something that they'd take on. That would put him over the luxury tax. Are the Nationals willing to take on Luke Voigt or Eric Hosmer or Will Myers or Drew Pomerantz, or what are we doing here? What are the Nats willing to do? They're not going to win this year. They're going to want prospects. So are the Padres going to be willing to give them one of their top prospects for Josh Bell? I know it's a rental, but there's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. So I don't know if that's a fit. Like, how many? You want 6 first basemen on the roster? Assuming that they can't trade Voigt or Hosmer in that deal, like, you can want him. I just don't know if it's a fit, like, if it fits for a trade to happen between AJ Preller and Mike Rizzo, the Nats GM. Like, Jonathan, you bring up here, Josh Bell for Hosmer and Campy is what you're saying here. Well, is that appealing to the Nationals? The Nationals, in that Max Scherzer Trey Turner deal last year, they just traded for the Dodgers' best catching prospect. I'm blanking on his name right now. Let me check real quick. Gabriel Ruiz. He's 23 years old. They already have that top prospect catcher. The Nats want Eric Hosmer? No, they don't. I just don't think that's that great of a fit for the Nationals. I keep saying it. It's one thing for us to want Josh Bell. So do a lot of other fan bases. So do a lot of other general managers that are probably in a better position to acquire him than the Padres are right now. So you can hope. And the trade deadline's a few weeks away. Just going to have to wait. And we're going to have to wait for Tatis to get back, like Third Place Magazine says. Best acquisition we could hope for. Yeah, if he plays well, we'll see. So probably early August or late July return for him. Hopefully it's July 29th against the Twins. Game I'm going to. Hopefully. We'll see. All right, this has been the Padres Rockies Talking Friars pregame show for July 11th, 2022. Shaman I on the mound for the Padres. Let's see if they can break this losing streak at Coors Field. It's been a long one, 10 straight. We'll see. 5:40 is the first pitch. Game highlights at Talking Friars on Twitter. I'll see you guys later. Go Padres.